Namaste and welcome to Detours with me, Anuradha Goyal, where I talk to some very interesting personalities about journeys of all kinds. Today, we are going to go to one of the most beautiful parts of India, Spiti Valley. Uh, if you ask me what is the most unexplored part of India or the best kept secret of India, it has to be Spiti Valley. And we are inviting Dheeraj Sharma of Devil on Wheels to talk about it. Dheeraj is an authority on Himalayan region. He On his blog he covers Spiti, Lahore, uh, Ladakh, Bhutan, basically the whole upper Himalaya ranges of India. And his blog is not only well known, but it's one of the most well respected blogs. So I could not find anybody better to take us to Spiti. So Dheeraj, welcome to Detours.
Thank you, Anuradha. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for a lovely introduction.
Uh, it's been a long time that we've been talking about Spiti. So tell
Right.
us, for our listeners, tell us where exactly is Spiti located? Which part of the country is called Spiti Valley?
Sure. So basically, Spiti Valley is located in Himachal Pradesh. It's like almost towards the end of Himachal Pradesh, nearing the borders of Tibet, and in fact, it shares the border with Tibet.
Mhm.
And basically, it's a part of a larger district which is called Lahore and Spiti, and a lot of people get confused that Lahore and Spiti are same, but they
Yes.
are like different different territories altogether. Although as a combined region, they are called Lahore and Spiti. That's primarily because of like less population over there. I think it's one of the least populous districts in India. About 650 district. It is one of the least populous. So that's why they call it combined as Lahore and Spiti. So it lies beyond Kinnaur, beyond Rohtang Pass. You can visit both these valley, Lahore and Spiti. So there is like a fine distinction between the two valleys. Like the Lahore Valley is uh, towards the Ladakh side of the region in
Mhm.
India, and Spiti
Mhm.
Valley is like on the right hand side, which borders with Tibet and all.
Mhm.
So and technically, what divides them is Kunzum Pass. So there is a pass called Kunzum Pass, which divides Lahore Valley and Spiti Valley. But as far as administration is concerned, I think it is Chhatru or Chota Dhara where basically the division occurs. So Spiti administration takes care of everything till Chota Dhara or Chatru when you are traveling from Manali to Gaza, which is Spiti Valley.
Mhm.
And that's where the division of Lahore and Spiti lies.
Okay. So is Spiti also defined by the river Spiti?
It comes from its name, Spiti, because like most of the population lies around the Spiti river itself, and as you travel, like from if you want to reach Spiti, you
Mhm.
have like a couple of routes from where you can go. One is like uh, which is the most recommended one is like you travel via Shimla
Mhm.
and go towards Kinnaur and then further continue it towards Spiti Valley.
Right.
So basically, this is the old Hindustan Tibet highway that's
Mhm.
used to know as NH22 as well, and now it is known as NH5. So and a lot of history is associated with this Hindustan Tibet highway. And as you move alongside it, once you cross Kinnaur, um, and then you enter Spiti Valley, and there is this point called Khab, where we have this confluence of Satluj and Spiti River, and from there, like Spiti begins, and all the way. near the Spiti River as it flows. There are lots of small villages and settlements which exist throughout the Spiti Valley. So it is, and the Spiti River in fact originates from like the Kunzum range, which divides Lahaul and Spiti.
Right. You know what I remember of my trip
Hmm.
of Spiti Valley is, this sudden vast range of mountains, almost bare mountains, a cold desert,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like you said, the least populated part of the country. You find villages which are 70 people villages, 400 people villages,
exactly.
and something that is 2,000 people village would essentially be a town there, something like Kaza. So,
Right.
so tell us which is the best time to go to Spiti and which is the best route to go to Spiti?
Sure, sure. So, like I briefly touched upon that, basically there are two routes that exist. One goes via Shimla and Kinnaur. If we talk about how to reach Spiti, so
Mhm.
you can travel down that route, and the other route goes from Manali, Rotang Pass, and Kunzum Pass, and further into Spiti Valley. Uh, but
Mhm.
generally, my recommendation to the folks is that you travel via Shimla route, like Shimla, Kinnaur, and then Spiti, because
Mhm.
yeah, while following that route, you kind of follow a pattern of gradual altitude ascent. Spiti
Right.
Valley is like a high altitude place, which like average elevation is like around 14,000 feet, which is a lot, and you are bound to get acute mountain sickness if you are traveling to Spiti Valley.
Mhm.
So what I generally recommend is that you travel to Shimla or Narkanda on the first night. Then second night, stay somewhere in Kinnaur, mostly like it's Kalpa, which is
Mhm.
again like a very beautiful place. And then third night, if your focus is not Kinnaur Valley to cover Kinnaur Valley as well, then you can go to the go to Tabu, which is like
Mhm.
first major settlement in Spiti Valley while going from Kinnaur side. You can stay the third night over there. So that ways you are gradually increasing your altitude, and by the time you hit like further high altitude beyond Tabu, you our body is like well acclimatized. Of course, you need to keep your body hydrated and all follow the acclimatization principles. But this is the route I generally recommend. Otherwise, if you are traveling from Manali side, what you do is like you stay at Manali one night, and then next day you can cross Kunzum Pass and enter into Spiti Valley. Earlier, I mean, before last year, the only route was like to go via Rotang Pass and then Kunzum Pass and then enter into Spiti Valley. But last year, due to the opening of Atal Tunnel, you can avoid traveling to Rotang Pass, which helps you avoid getting the permits for it. So now the journey has become much more easier, at least from the Rotang Pass perspective. But still, that adventurous part of Batal to all the way Losar, which is like the first village from the Manali side, it's absolutely amazing. So these are like a couple of routes that you can follow,
Mhm.
and if you are following, you can view such
Mhm.
landscapes. This is like a place which is like just before Tabu, and this is like the Tabu
You can
Monastery.
see, yeah, you can see a lot of these places. In fact, yeah, while we are going to talk about the different places that you can see in Spiti Valley and the different places that you can stay at and spend some time, the whole of Spiti Valley is a destination in itself. You know, I don't
Right,
recommend traveling more
exactly.
than 40-50 kilometers in a day, because everywhere you look, there is a treat for your eyes, there is a visual treat out there,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
that's what you're there to enjoy. So you should never go there in a rush.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I highly recommend is like people plan for like at least minimum of 10 to 11 days
Yes.
to really enjoy the beauty of Spiti Valley, beauty of the villages, and like you were saying, you have gone over there, and it's almost like you want to stop the car or bike, almost every other turn, take out your camera, take a picture, or soak in its beauty. So
Yes.
it's pretty like you correctly said. People ask me what is what to see in Spiti Valley. I said, I mean, like the whole Spiti Valley is like You
Absolutely.
can just go there and just see things. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is where to sleep at the end of the
Yes,
day,
yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes,
that's how these villages have popped up. Otherwise, it's more like every other turn has its own beauty. And if you're okay with the homestays, you can pretty much stay in like any of the villages, not the common ones that we know. So
yes,
I mean, villagers are very, or the locals are very warm and hospitable. So it's pretty amazing. As soon as you enter the Spiti
mm,
region, the whole, like you said, like the whole, landscape changes into barren and
yes.
beauty. That's what we call.
And it is
I mean,
so picturesque. It is so picturesque that you just need to point your camera. You don't need to be a photography expert. You don't need to understand cameras. Just point your camera somewhere and you have a
ab-
perfect picture.
absolutely. And I'm not at all. I mean, I don't have any kind of skills in photography. And whenever I come back with like these pictures, everybody is warped. I mean, like, but I say I have no role to play in it. It
Yes.
is more like I just point and shoot, nothing else.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, because it's the beauty, generally people have not seen. I think that's another thing that excites them. Especially like this barren kind of region, we are used to see. We are used to relate mountains with trees, pine
Yes.
trees, and beautiful greenery with snow. But this barren beauty of Ladakh and Spiti, um, only few can imagine.
Yes.
At
Yes.
least few years back, when I started
Yes.
traveling, only few used to imagine. And I
Yes.
think, and rather, I missed one of the part of the question, which was like the best time to visit
Yes.
Spiti Valley. So
Yeah.
I'll quickly show a couple of things. So if you ask me best time to visit Spiti Valley, I mean, I would generally say that it's more or less dependent on what preferences you have. So if
Hmm.
you are looking for a pleasant weather trip, then of course you can travel anytime between June to July. I would highly recommend to avoid any monsoon time, because you would be traveling from Kinnaur region, which is very fragile, and especially in monsoon or in rains, uh, landslides are very common over there. So just avoid the monsoon season, and then it all depends upon your personal preference. Pleasant season you want, then go in May and June, July. That's when the road will open via Kunzum Pass, so that you can do the entire circuit. If you're not interested in entire circuit, and you're interested in lots and lots of snow, like views like this, or probably this. So this is all Spiti in winters. So I mean, for views like this, so basically you need to go, and you need to go over there in February, March. You would see beautiful winter loaded views with lots and lots of snow. You'll see nothing but snow. So February, March, I recommend, but there are pros and cons to it. I mean, it requires a separate video, or separate discussion
Yes.
to talk about what are the pros and cons of going in winters. So if you are interested in heaps of snow, go in winters, which is like, I would say, anytime between February, March, and April, you would see lots and lots of snow. Then comes one of the you know, beautiful time period, which is like my favorite, and that is like September endish or October. That's where
Mhm.
you would see some beautiful colors. The river is very I would say, like the all the rivers gets turquoise color, aqua color, and then you would see the autumn colors as well.
Mhm.
Those are like beautiful autumn colors you can see in Spiti Valley. So that's my favorite time, because roads are pretty much stable at that moment, especially like the Manali Kaza road. And
Mhm.
of course, you get to see the beauty of the entire valley with some beautiful autumn colors, fall colors during
Right.
that time.
So I would just re-emphasize what Dheeraj just said. One is that Kunzum Pass opens in July, August for some time. So if you want to do Shimla to Manali, you have to plan during that time. It opens for a very small window. And
True.
second, And second, you have to be prepared for any kind of landslides there. If a landslide occurs, there's only single road, which means you stop there wherever you are and you realign the rest of your itinerary. So you should always keep some buffer when you are visiting these parts.
Right, right. And generally, like the Kunzum Pass opens in June first week, and then
Okay.
from June first week it remains open till almost November. But it is not recommended to travel beyond. I don't recommend traveling beyond mid of October, or at least after October there is a big no of traveling from Kunzum Pass, because snowfall can happen and you can get stranded in the uh, middle of nowhere over there with miles
Right.
to walk to
Right.
safety.
Right. So now let's start traveling with you.
Hmm.
In my mental map, the first spot, as soon as you enter or just before you enter Spiti Valley, is Nako, a small little village, which is my favorite village for multiple reasons. But I would like to hear
Hmm.
your views on Nako and then Tabo.
Right, right. So, definitely. So, just before you are entering Spiti Valley, like you said, Nako is one of the most beautiful villages that comes across in Kinnaur Valley, and there are like few more villages once you cross them, and then you enter something called Sumdo, which is your checkpoint where you need to register at the police checkpost,
Mhm.
enter your details, and then you enter into the Spiti Valley. But Nako, it again, like, it also has a special place in my heart, especially like the view from the top, because
Yes,
it's like a high altitude village, so it is
yes,
sitting on a top, and the views that it offers of the expanse of Himalayas is pretty amazing.
yes,
And I highly recommend people like having a lunch over there,
yes.
and explore the village, the lake, and then kind of move on to the next destination, which is like Tabu. And
Yeah, the
as
lake
as
here
as
is beautiful. Lake at Nako is simply stunning. And
right.
what I remember is the youth club at Nako, which
Mhm.
gives you a lovely tour of the village for just rupees 50 or something. And they organize treks. One of the best managed tourism activity in a village that I have seen.
Right, right. And those
Let's,
people, I mean, when you are taking up such a tour, you are contributing back to the
yes,
society over there.
yes,
So that's a really good thing.
yes,
If
let's,
any one of you visiting there, do support them. Everything
yes,
goes back to their community. So,
yes.
and pretty much you feel associated to the place right away.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's move to Tabo.
Right, right. So this is like, I mean, like, as you move from Sumdo, and
Mm.
you enter I mean, I won't call it a first village, because like technically I think Hurling is the first village in Spiti
Mhm.
Valley. But once you cross Hurling, you reach Tabu, which
Mhm.
is basically the main place where you can stay for the night.
Yes,
And Tabu has a monastery where you can get some amazing views, as well as not just the views, but Tabu monastery has its own significance in the entire Spiti region. And um, and and you can pretty much go and see the meditation caves at the top of the hill, right on the corner of Tabu village. And those are pretty amazing to see how they meditate in those in those caves. And I think, Anuradha, your blog also covers one of the
yes,
ancient.
yes. So Tabu has many interesting things for me.
Mhm.
One is it has got one of the oldest mud monasteries, which is made of mud, not of any concrete material. It
Right.
has that monastery has ancient Buddhist paintings which are comparable to Ajanta paintings, and they
Oh.
are very well preserved. If you go there, if you speak to lamas, they will give you a tour of the monastery. They don't allow photography, but They will tell you beautiful tales of each of the bodhisattvas and each of the Buddha
Mm.
stories there. Then, like you said, there are meditation caves on the hill. Plus, I have a secret which I don't think anybody else has yet discovered, that Tabu has ancient petroglyphs or the rock
Oh,
art, which is something like what we find at Bhimbetka in Bhopal, or in many prehistoric ancient caves. So those petroglyphs have been preserved by ASI, but they are just kept in an open ground there. You have to really
okay.
look for them, but they are within the village limits of Tabu. So I remember
Uh,
Tabu as the cultural hotspot of Spiti.
um, and it's a very good place to spend the night.
Yes,
Get accustomed to the high altitude,
yes,
and there are pretty good homestays up there in Tabu. There are
yes.
hotels as well if you
Yes,
prefer them. You can stay over there. So that will be your kind of first night in Spiti Valley.
it's a good place
Although
to park
technically,
yourself and see the surroundings.
exactly. And then as you travel further from there, so basically you can go over and visit Dhankar monastery and Dhankar lake. Dhankar lake is a trek, so and it takes a toll on your body, if especially if you are not accustomed to, and because it'll be your fourth day and you would be gasping for breath, definitely, especially on the accent.
Right.
So, but if you are open for such an adventure, go for it. It'll take a couple of hours from Dhankar Monastery itself to cover the lake and come back. But it's again like a beautiful surrounding. You can get like views of Money Rang range from there, and then you come down, have lunch at the Dhankar Monastery, and then after that, probably there are two choices. One is like you can go and enter into one of, again, my favorite places. It's like a hit or a miss, I would say, for most people. I really like the views Pin Valley offers,
Yes.
and again, it's basically hit or a miss for some of the people. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Especially, I think it's kind of a narrower as compared to the other regions of Spiti Valley. So I think that's probably some people don't like it, but it's again, very very beautiful place, especially if you drive all along the Pin River. So again, Pin River is like a tributary that flows into the Spiti, and as
I want
you
to add something,
uh,
Dheeraj. You mentioned Dhankar Monastery. Now,
mhm.
Dhankar Monastery literally hangs on a cliff.
Exactly.
Literally hangs on a cliff. And I later learned that it's in the list of most fragile monuments in the world.
Yeah, it is
Okay. And
about.
yes, and
Yeah,
also if you visit the monastery inside, which is what I did, there are rooms on top where they don't allow more than three people at one point in time. It is so fragile.
right,
It
right,
is so fragile. So but it's hanging on. What is important is that it's hanging on.
right.
Right.
And there are preservation efforts in place,
Yes.
in order to preserve it. And in fact, like, once you go at the top over there, you can get a very, very nice view of how Pin River flows into,
Beautiful.
Spiti River. So it's like kind of a confluence point as well,
Yes.
and you get a vantage point to view the
Yes.
confluence from there.
I clearly
So yeah,
remember the window of the monastery through which you see that confluence.
right. It's it's
Right.
it's
Okay, so
it's kind
from
of a
Dhankar,
magical place.
yeah, it is. It is a magical place. So after Dhankar, where do we go?
Yeah,
Kaza?
after Dhankar, right. Like I said, like if you prefer going to Pin Valley, I would recommend that you go into Pin Valley, spend a night over there in Mud Village,
Mhm,
enjoy the views of Pin Valley, and then like next day from Pin Valley, you go over to the Kaza. And Pin Valley is like a diversion from
mhm,
Dhankar or Tabu to Kaza route.
mhm,
So basically, you go into Pin Valley, spend a night over there, which would be your fourth night, and
mhm.
then next morning start your journey from Pin Valley and enjoy the views along Pin Valley Kaza route. and reach Gaza and rest for the day.
Mm-hmm.
That and Gaza is like the main headquarter of or you can call like a district sub headquarters of Spiti region. Um, and then for the Lahore region, it is Geelong. Um, so that is where the main life of Spiti revolves, right? It has a major hospital. It has all the administration offices. So
Highest petrol
anybody
pump.
has it has a petrol pump called claimed as highest petrol pump, definitely. Um, but yeah, I mean, Kaza is a town, and there are lots of hotels, guest houses, homestays to stay in Kaza. And a little ahead of Kaza, about 6-7 kilometers, it's Rangrik village, which is again situated right at the banks of Spiti River. So either some people now have started preferring Rangrik over Kaza, um, just because of proliferation of the tourism, and lots and lots of hotels um, popping up in Kaza.
Yeah.
So
And Kaza is
so
like
these are
big town. Once you've spent four or
yeah,
5 days in Spiti Valley, when you reach
right,
Kaza, you suddenly see life.
right. That's where the whole life of Spiti revolves around.
Right, right. But tell us about the village loops you can do from Kaza.
Yes. So from Kaza, once you take a rest on probably like day 5, you take rest in Kaza. Enjoy, stock up the supplies of food and water, or whatever you want to stock up over there, because that's where you will get it, right? And then you have a choice. If you are into trekking, I would say, and you have decent amount of time at hand,
Mm-hmm.
then the best thing is that you travel from Kaza and go to like Ki or Kibir,
Mm-hmm.
and from there start the village trek. And
Mm-hmm.
the village trek is more like you reach Key monastery, and
Mm-hmm.
from Key monastery either you drive again back to Kibber,
Mm-hmm.
or if you want to stay in Key, then take start the trek from there, Key to Kibber village, which is again one of the high villages, and very very beautiful, offering nice views. So again, you can go to Kibber from there, and then
Mm-hmm.
from Kibber you can further go to Langza to Comic to Hikim, and then Hikim to Demul to Lalung, and then come back. So you can see like lots of villages up there. It's kind of a loop, or village loop, generally people call it. Um, you can do it like either by car, or best way to explore this route is by foot. And if you have time these many days, like, because um, one village to another village will require you another the entire day, then a rest in one village, and then move on from one village to another. So that's how you do if you want to do the trek. Otherwise, generally people do it in car. So they club it like Key Kibber, Gete, Tashigang. This is the loop that generally people do in one day, and the next day people do Langza, Hikim, Comic. Sometimes they include Demul, sometimes they skip it because it lies a little towards Dhankar and Lalung side. So those are like two hidden villages which rarely people visit, Lalung and Demul. But again, offering some spectacular views. Right from the top of them. So if you have time, visit all these villages up there, which is like the high villages of Spiti. Otherwise, spend time in Ki Kibar, and just visit Gete and Tashigang for views, and come back to Kaza. Next day, go to Langza Hikim Comic Loop, and spend time over there, because once you reach Langza, you see views which are like amazing. I mean, you there is a peak called Chachu Nelda. Um, you can go and watch that view of that peak, which is like amazing, right? So and it has a different feeling. Langza is like one of my favorite villages, or favorite places in the world, which is which almost ties with Hanle, which is in Ladakh. and I cannot like distinguish whenever people ask me which is like your favorite place in the world. So I cannot like separate them out. So both these
Right.
Hanle and Langs are ties together, and
Right.
you would definitely spending time over there like 4 or 5 hours to
Right.
soak in the beauty of it.
Right. I would also like to add that when you look at the key monastery, look at how the architecture in these mountains is. These huge monasteries have been built without any foundation, and they've been built with the contours of the mountain, which in itself is a
Exactly.
marvel. So you must admire that when you visit it. Okay, so let's move from Kaza to Kunzum. Now, tell us
Right.
something about Kunzum Pass and any stories of Kunzum Pass.
Yeah. So I mean, like from Kaza, it's once you view or visit these villages, you can start traveling or towards the exit of Spiti, and you cross the Loser village,
Mhm.
and from Loser is like the last village from where you would enter into a gate called like Welcome to Spiti or Thanks for visiting Spiti,
Mhm.
and that's where the journey to Kunzum Pass starts.
Mhm.
And there is a temple up there at the Kuntum Pass. So do a parikrama. Make sure you are doing it in a clockwise manner. Otherwise, like especially the locals, they don't take it positively if you are doing it anti-clockwise. These are small things. Even if you encounter a stupa while you are on the road, then it's always good to cross that stupa in
Clockwise
a
manner.
clockwise manner, right? And you would always you have been there, so you might have already seen, whenever there is a supa on the road, uh, there are always two ways to go around it.
Right.
It's never on the corner, so either they
Right.
carve a way out on the other side, even if it is not a road, well maintained road. They will have a dirt track, but that's how people respect things up there, so
Yes.
our culture and religion up there. So
And as visitor,
once
we should
you
also be very, very respectful of these things.
right, and it gives a different feeling and different I would say different respect in terms of the locals eyes, that you are respecting that values that they have.
That
So
helps you connect with the locals much better when you're
right,
respectful to them.
right, absolutely. So once you cross Kunzum Pass, that's where you roll downhill towards a dhaba settlement called Batal,
Mhm.
and just before Batal, you have a diversion towards again one of the most beautiful places out there, which is called Chandratal Lake.
My favorite lake,
Amazing.
my most magical lake it is.
Exactly. And Chandratal, you were asking about some of the stories of Kunzum or this region. It is a place where the whole Devil on Wheels started.
Uh-huh.
It was like about 2009 when
Mhm.
I didn't know anything about high Himalayas. I was young, and it's basically we said, oh, there is some lake called Chandratal. Let's go over there. And a couple of my cousins and a friend, a school friend, said that okay, let's go. And we went there, without any kind of preparation, nothing. And it was a time where just Kunzum Pass has not opened. I mean, it was just like the first few days of June, and at that time it used to like snow, and we used to have like big snow walls, and we just went there, and there was, I would say, no information about like how high it is, and we were also careless, I would say,
Mhm.
because we were young and we didn't know anything about high altitude, and it ended up almost costing me my life. And it's a big story, maybe some other day. But at the end of the day, it was more like there was aged uncle over there, who was there with us on the battle camp, and we were sleeping, and he said that, hey guys, I mean, like, are you going to Chandratal, because the road is closed? We said, yeah, we will go. and he said that, oh, okay, do you have the gears and all, because there were like snow slopes
Mm-hmm.
on it. And we said, why do we need gears? We have, and he was like, seeing our shoes, that what kind of shoes are we wearing. And they were like plain old sports shoes, which we are used to wear. And he said, guys, I mean, it's like a death wish that you have, but I know you guys are engineers, you have some kida in you, and you won't listen to me. And we just shrug him off and said, okay, no, uncle, we'll see in the morning. And in the morning we were like on the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it started snowing. I mean, we took about, it's a 14-kilometer trek if you are doing it. And because we were doing it from Bartle, it added like a couple of more kilometers. So it was like 16 kilometers all the way to Chandratal. And we just kept walking over there. And I would say it took about 5.5 hours to reach the point where it was, you park the cars. And then
Mm.
there is an accent, right? You have seen that there is an
Right,
accent
right,
that you go. And so we reached that camping site, and from there you have to still further trek a
right,
lot.
right.
And at that time it was 2 o'clock, and my guide said that, guys, I mean, we can't make it, it has started snowing, and we will die here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we realized where we are. It was a terrible, terrible thing. And that, I think, once a lot of things happened in between. I was almost literally hanging on a snow slope where, uh, the guide came in, dug up a hole, asked me to put in, and somehow my life was saved. It was all AMS. Uh, I was puking whole night. Literally, I thank still today. I got saved due to Dorje uncle. There is a dhaba at Battle. You might
Yes,
have visited
yes,
him,
yes, yes,
Chandra Dhaba, right?
yes.
And he's a savior of so many folks over
Yeah.
last 2 decades or more. So he kind of helped a lot, stabilizing my condition in that region. And that's where I realized that I have to do something. I have to spread this knowledge. And that's where like Devil on Wheels was born. um, and I still owe my life to those folks. And that's why, like, everything whatever we do at Devil on Wheels, it's back to them. And that's why, like, this Chandratal thing is like a very, very special, it has like a very
Yeah.
special place in my life.
Same here.
And
I it's very, very special for me. I had one of my most magical travel moments at Chandratal, which I have written
mhm,
about on my blog. I have also mentioned this in my book, Lotus in the Stone.
yep,
Uh, it is the place, I don't know if you know, but this is the place where the Pandavas, when they
mhm,
were going to the heaven, to Swarg, this
mhm.
is the place where Yudhishthir went to heaven.
Okay.
Okay, so Chandratal is the place which from where he ascended the heaven. So it becomes, and there are a lot of other stories which
Mhm.
I've written about in the book. But it's a most magical place. If you spend a night there, you must see the night sky.
Right,
It
right,
almost feels like you can jump and catch the stars.
exactly, exactly. It's
Great,
so
Dheeraj.
pristine, so
Great,
pristine.
Dheeraj.
And you,
So before we let you go,
mhm,
Dheeraj, you have to tell
mhm.
us some of the best practices that the travelers should keep in mind when they are visiting these very sensitive uh, zones.
Sure, sure. So, I think, some of the things that I keep on suggesting folks is, of course, plastic and all, we all know about it, but rarely we practice it out. Make sure that, whatever plastics you are getting it over there, you are bringing it back. And in fact, like, in Spiti Valley, there was an initiative that was starting by the locals, that they are going to ban the plastic bottles. And in fact, in one of the season they did it as well. And if you just do a math, the number of plastic bottles, if you are like using plastic bottles which are like disposable ones, um, that's one of the biggest source of plastic that we take and we
Yes,
consume.
yes.
And if you cut that, right, you would be surprised by just one family how
Hmm.
many plastic bottles you are not going to put in that environment.
Right.
those environments do not have any kind of disposable system, so or recycling system. So at the end of the day they have to dump it somewhere. Maybe
Right.
they are like cognizant of the fact that they have to clean their surroundings, keep it clean for tourism, but at the end of the day they are just hiding it in some other mountain, or maybe like dumping it in the river so that it
Mhm.
flows. So
Right.
we have to take responsibility, and I
Oh,
think my responsibility starts with my family. So I make sure that my
mhm.
family, my immediate family, the children, especially the children whom we can
So no
educate. And
plastic and actually no garbage should be left back.
right, 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 right. That's like a basic thing. The second thing I briefly touched upon, like whenever you are encountering some stupas or chotans, then
Be
make sure that
respectful.
you are using, be respectful, make sure you are using clockwise direction. Even if you are spinning a prayer wheel, spin them in like clockwise direction. That's a huge respect to the religion up there. And apart from that, be mindful of what you're wearing, especially in the monasteries. So and just know the code of conduct over there. Don't
Great.
disturb, right? So these are some of the basic
Yes.
things. If you follow, I mean, rest of the things comes along with it.
Right.
Just knowing the code of conduct in a monastery.
Right.
And a lot of people now, because of Instagram age, they want to capture the beauty of the monasteries, but the flashlight does damages the scriptures over there. Even if and I sometimes see and I politely ask people that this is something that probably would have been written over there, that flashlight is not used, should not be used. And then they would come up with an excuse that, oh, I mean, that the Lamaji was very, very humble, and he allowed us to take it. I would say that those people are very, very humble and very warm. They, I mean, they rarely get
Don't use
angry.
them. Yeah.
Right,
Don't
right,
use
right. Don't
them.
use them, and just understand that whatever you are doing, they have been hidden over there. And you are into like ancient things, so like how much damage the light can do
Right. Right.
to that. So
Great.
I think these are some of the basic things you should keep in
Great,
mind.
Dheeraj. Great, Dheeraj. Thank you so much
Hmm.
for taking us to Spiti in such a beautiful manner. We will bring you back for another conversation on other parts of Himalaya sometime. And guys, do check out Devil on Wheels, the blog itself, and the Instagram handle for the stunningly beautiful videos and images of the valley. Thank you so much, Dheeraj.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Radha. It was pleasure talking to you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us on Detours. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our handle is IndiTales, INDITALES. See you soon.